Hello, everyone. How are we all doing today? Can anyone hear me? Hi, Priscilla. Please confirm that you can hear me. All right, fantastic, fantastic. I'm going to bring up my screen so that we're going to start this session immediately. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from anywhere you're joining us, and welcome to this amazing session that we are going to have tonight. My screen is going to come up in the next couple of minutes, and we're going to start immediately. Okay? But while you are here, please ensure that you have your pen and your paper ready. And if you have anyone that you feel this session will be very, very beneficial to, please ensure to reach out to them and share the link to this exact session with them so that they can join us also. Okay, I'm going to bring up my screen in the next couple of minutes and we are going to start immediately. Okay, hi Priscilla, please confirm that you can see my screen.
I can't see it yet. Okay, it's up now.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so welcome once more, everyone, to this amazing session. We have around 20 people on the call right now, and we are going to instantly dive right into what we are meant to do today, okay? But if you have anyone that you think will benefit from this amazing session, please ensure to reach out to him or her and drop the link with the person so that that exact individual can join us instantly. I have with me amazing professionals today that we're going to be having a lot of discussion around HR analytics. Okay. So there's always, I don't want to call it noise. I don't want to call it, gossip, but there's always thoughts around how HR professionals can lead and reskill with people analytics. I know a lot of us, when we, started our career journey, we used to hear, okay, HR, we used to hear talent manager, we used to hear a couple of other, terminologies. But these days, what we're hearing at the moment is people analytics, people analysts, people this, people that. And right with me today, we'll have people that have experience in this exact niche. We have Richmond, we have Baldwin, and we also have Bumi with me on this call tonight for us to understand how HR professionals can lead and reskill with people analytics. But before we dive right into this exact discussion, I would love to know you and know where you are joining us from tonight. Okay, so I would love to know you and where you are joining us from tonight. So it's simple, just type in the chat box, Chukwemeka, Ghana, Chukwemeka, Nigeria, Chukwemeka, UK, Chukwemeka, US, or anywhere you are so that we can get to meet each other. All right, so let's do that in the next couple of minutes and we're going to start this session instantly. Okay, I can't see anything dropping yet. Priscilla, please confirm that people have the ability to type. All right, so that okay, I can see Wellington from United States. Fantastic. Welcome on board, Wellington. Tonight is going to be an amazing session that definitely have something to take out from it. I have Zenani from Lagos, Nigeria. Amazing. Welcome, Zenani. We have two countries at the moment. I have Suleiman from Manchester, UK. Fantastic. Welcome, Suleiman Fola from UK. Okay, we have UK people winning at the moment. I think I will have like, 3 UK already. And okay, we have Jennifer also from Ghana. Welcome on board, Jennifer. It's good to have you. Have Victoria from UK. Amazing. So definitely UK has the large number of people for tonight's session. And that's really a great thing for us to have. What I always tell people when sessions like this come up is that it promises to also give you the networking ability. All right. It can be in Nigeria, it can be in UK, it can be in US. I are joining all these calls and networking with all those individuals that are in these different countries. So please feel free to drop your name, your location, so that you will be able to also connect with these individuals when the time comes. Okay. And also, I would love to know one thing, what you in particular would love to take out from this session, right? So a couple of people have dropped their name, but I want to also, write down what you are going to take out from this session so that I'll be sure that by the time we are done with the panel discussion, we'll definitely scratch any burning question that you already have in your mind. Okay, so just feel free to also type what you would love to take out from this exact discussion before we can now start instantly. Okay, I can see you, Ernest from UK. Like I mentioned, since UK, we have more number of people from UK tonight. And also Joy from Nigeria. Amazing. Welcome, Joy. All right. So I'd love to know what you want to take out from this session tonight, so that it will also be a part of thing that I'll ensure that we scratch everyone on the call, Richmond, Baldwin, Bumi, and myself, that we scratch it before this session is over. Okay. So also to see what's all about, that's from Fola. Amazing. So Fola, definitely you're going to see what HR professionals, how they can lead and reskill people analytics, and what entirely people analytics is all about. Okay, fantastic for that, Fola. All right, so others, I'm still waiting for you. So please type in what you want to take out from this session, so that it will also be part of what I'll be sure that we are going to discuss. All right, so while you are doing that, I'll dive right into the introduction. So who exactly are we? We are Analytics, and we are the leading educational technology company from Africa that is focused on providing amazing tech training to individuals to help them move from the classroom into landing their first role. So the main thing, the main focus, what we consider as success here at Analytics is moving people from our classrooms into their own jobs. And for the last couple of more than 4 years, we've helped over 2,000 people to move from our classrooms to their first tech roles in different continents, in Africa, Europe, UK, rather Africa, Europe, Asia, and other places also. And our main focus, the main courses that we offer ranges across data analytics, business analytics, data engineering, full stack data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project manager, cybersecurity engineer, AI engineering, of course. And how do we make this to happen? Is basically by bringing experts into our classroom to teach people using real life case studies. So it's not like normal classroom learnings where you come into class and you're learning, okay, what is HR, what is people, what is analytics? No, we are learning with project-based. Okay, so it's fully project-based learning, so that every single thing that you are learning can also be applied as an experience that you've had. Okay, so this is how we make this happen, and we'll have amazing professionals coming from diverse institutions like Apple, coming from Amazon to teach our students. And also students that tend to finish our program also move into all these amazing companies. So basically, who am I? Who am I? I am Chukwuemeka, basically. I prefer when people call me Chukwuemeka. And I'm a technology consultant with nearly a decade of experience in governance and compliance, and of course, strategic consulting. And as the CEO, I've guided over 1,000 individuals with no prior technical background to successfully move from no tech areas into landing their first job. Okay, and how and where have I been all these years? So I've played the roles in GRC in the banking sector, head of control in a fintech company, data analytics also in a fintech company, and of course business consulting in hospitality businesses. My experience spans across financial services, capital markets, hospitality industry, and also educational technology sector. So you can follow me across the socials, LinkedIn, Chukwuemeka Iba, on Twitter, Emeka_Heist, and also on Instagram as Iba_Chooks. Amazing. So I'm going to go into introducing what we are going to do today. So what exactly are we doing here tonight? First off, we are going to understand what people analytics is all about, okay? We're going to have a general understanding, okay, what is HR analytics, what is people analytics, so that everyone that don't have that understanding will get that knowledge. And then we'll dive right into the panel session where I have my C. Ronaldo, my Messi, and my Mbappe. Okay, no, not Mbappe, let me call it Russo. Yeah, because we have a lady with us tonight. So we have C. Ronaldo, Messi, and Russo. So these are amazing strikers in the industry that is going to lead the discussion that we're going to have tonight with respect to people analytics and how HRs can lead and reskill. Also, we're going to walk you through how you can get started in this exact niche, and you'll get to see some of the success stories that we've had in the last couple of years that we've been here. And of course, for you, for the fact that you're on this call, we have an amazing discount for you. So please ensure that you stay tuned so that you get to, capture every single thing that we have to offer you tonight. All right. So let's get to meet the people that we have. Have with me Richmond Ado. Richmond is a people analytics senior consultant with Thermo Fisher Scientific. I don't know whether Richmond, you're on the call at the moment. Hi, Richmond. Are you there? Do you want to say hello to the house? Can signify with raising your hand so that will bring you to the top floor. Hi, Richmond. I don't know if you are here right now. Okay, while waiting for Richmond to signify, I think I can already see the next person that we have that should be Baldwin inquiry. PMP, of course. He's a senior people's analytics specialist in Africa, Oceania, and Asia with NESO. Hi, Baldwin. You're free to say hello to the house.
Hi everyone. Baldwin here. Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right, awesome. Very opportune to be here tonight. Well, it's 8 o'clock in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm pretty sure people are scattered around. So whatever the time is, hope you're having a great day. My experience in people analytics is has been pretty interesting. I was never in this field. I started in people analytics at 7-Up Bottling Company, which is the word bottlers of Pepsi in Nigeria. And it was a very new field as when I started. I've also had experience in e-commerce, tech distribution, but currently I'm working within the people analytics function at Nestle for the zonal team, cutting across Asia, Africa, Oceania, as you clearly mentioned. And it's a very interesting field. So we're going to have a very robust discussion tonight. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that brief intro. But you are trying to be humble and linear and not blow your horns. Body is a big man, so everyone they call you guys are. He's a big guy. Okay, thank you so much. And next person that we'll have also is we have Bunmi Olaniyo. Hi, Bunmi. Are you on the call? She is the vice president. Hi, Bunmi. Are you there? Sorry, I think I was muted. Bumi is the vice president of People and Transformation Global, and she is with Waka now. Okay. I think Bumi is not yet on the call. Bumi is not yet on the call. Okay. So we have just, please confirm that you can hear me. Can anyone hear me?
Hi, Emeka. I can hear you.
Hello, everybody. Can anybody still hear Chukwemeka, please? Hello, Chukwemeka.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a bit.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back right now. I don't know where we stopped hearing, but I think it was where I was trying to talk about Bumi. So she will be joining us also. Right now, we just have Baldwin on the call. That's really amazing. Baldwin, that means you have a big playing field to play, for a while before every other person, gets to, join us. And I think what we're going to do is briefly try to have a discussion first, and for you to just walk us through your journey into, people analytics. How did you start? How did you get to this exact stage? And what exactly, has been happening? Did you study anything relating to rates? How did you get to find yourself in this role at the moment? Hi, Baldwin. So just feel free and, use it as your, keynote speech to, for us to get to know you.
So I did not start off as a HR professional. I started off my career in e-commerce, like I mentioned. I was in e-commerce space for about 5 years, mainly working across different functions, right? It was a startup, and for those of you who have worked in a startup before, you do everything, right? From merchant and client management to business operations to analytics to sales, a bit of sales. But my major focus was always within the analytics space, right? Focusing on sales, focusing on products, focusing on services. Prior to that, I had finished my undergraduate degree from Industrial Mathematics, Covenant University. So I had a bit of an analytical, would I say, background, so to speak. And of course, coming into the workforce, I started, learning a bit of analytical skills, right? Mainly Excel, utilizing data to make informed decisions, to sort of help the business, so manage the sales team, etc. So I already had that analytical background. And then I was called upon, sometime to come, do the same thing within HR, right? At Seven Up Bottling Company. I was averse to it at first because I was like, I don't know anything about HR. What am I gonna do there? But after talking to the team, they were like, oh no, we're gonna guide you through. I took up the offer and I started. In my own experience, it was an untapped territory, which means nothing was happening in that space at the time in the company. So I was basically, we've employed you, go figure it out, right? That was how I started. So I didn't have any mentor. I didn't have nobody was holding my hands. All I had was my base analytical knowledge, right? And I'm like, okay, now I'm in HR. How do I transfer this knowledge that I have into HR, right? And I worked at Pepsi for about 3 years. So during that time, the major thing was, first of all, ensuring that we understood HR data, understood what I was looking at within the business, trying to build out templates, build out structures. Like I said, it was a lot of building that had to go into play. One key thing that was that really helped through that process was the fact that senior leadership did have a lot of buy-in. So they gave a lot of support to the things that we were trying to do. And this was coming from the CEO's office. So there was some level of senior leadership support, both from the CEO and from the head of HR, because they really wanted to understand how they could utilize data to make better decisions. But before you even get to that part, right, you first of all need to tackle certain, there are a lot of roadblocks along the way, right? From where is HR data sitting? Do we have HRIS system? Who's doing this? Who's doing what? What's the structure of the business? There's so much foundational work that goes into building out HR analytics within a company, right? So I can speak about that in a different, if someone wants me to speak about that, but there's a lot of foundational work that goes into it, right? Especially if the business hasn't really been looking in direction and the HR people are still maybe very traditional, very used to what they normally do. That takes a while. So that's one part of it. The second part is now you as an individual applying your skills, applying yourself into that space, right? Transitioning into Nestle, for instance, Nestle is it's a bit more experienced, in that aspect. Even for a global company, you still come into this space within global companies and you realize that there's still a lot to be done. So for those of you in the audience who are wanting to get into this space, I would say that there's a lot of potential. It's not a very common space to sit in within HR. So there's a lot of potential in people analytics, and I mean, happy to talk you guys through as we go along the session.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Baldwin. So there's something that Baldwin mentioned that I really loved from his opening speech, and that's around he has a background in industrial mathematics, right? So many people were wondering, okay, what's someone with industrial mathematics doing in the HR field? That should tell you the extent and the way things move when it comes to analytics, right? He has a background in industrial mathematics. He doesn't know anything about HR, but today he's a senior analyst with the people in Nestle. So thank you so much for that brief intro. I know you mentioned that you don't want to get into the foundational work that you have to put into place if you're trying to be a people analyst. And I understand that maybe you were the first in your company because you mentioned you were with a startup. And I know the kind of when it comes to startups, there may not really be full structures, full foundation already placed. And at that level, there may not even be a HRMS platform. So how did you, at that beginning stage, get to actually start up that exact people analytics with your company? You're not, you shouldn't divulge things that you don't want to divulge, of course, but they'll just walk us through that brief journey of trying to, get that exact company to, play ball with you.
Okay. For 7-Up bottling, which I started off my HR career with, I think, like I mentioned, when I joined, there was nothing on ground, right? But I think there's some key things that need to be in place, right? Because at the end of the day, what a people analytics personnel or employees essentially doing is trying to use HR data to answer business questions, right? Just like you will do in sales, marketing, supply chain, and some other functions, right, within the business, right? So most of these other departments, they are a bit more data focused, right? Sales need to look at the data, supply chain, but HR still very in the preliminary stages. So the first thing is, where does HR data reside, right? So I've joined the company and they've said, oh, look into our HR data. That's the first question. Where does HR data reside, right? Now, this is beyond your, of course, the HR department would have their roadmap for how they want to implement HR analytics or, what their journey is for HR. But I don't want to go into all that because that's HR strategy, okay? But as a people analytics person or someone who has been hired as a HR data analyst or whatever it is, right? The first thing is data, okay? Where does the information sit, right? What do we have on ground? Do you get? And this leads us to what I would call the HR information system, which ideally is the base for where HR data should be residing. Now, in some businesses, like smaller businesses, this may not even exist at all, right? They may be utilizing flat files in a document, Excel sheets, etc. Right? Wherever it is you are, you have to start somewhere. Okay. So depending on the business you're getting into. For us, we had a HRIS system at the time, but again, it wasn't maintained properly. Right. So one thing is having the data residing somewhere. Okay, that's a tick in the box, right? But this data residing in this particular location, what's the quality level? What's the correctness of the data I'm looking at? How does it how long, how easily is it to extract data from the system? Those also start coming into play. So within my first 3 months, all I was doing was gathering data. Okay, within my first 6 months, gathering data from different departments, different units, different functions, just trying to where are all the data points that at least feed HR. And as HR practitioners, you guys know that we have a lot of data, okay, from your employee data, which is your demographic data, okay, you have onboarding data, you have hiring data, you have succession planning data, different data sets sits in different places. So you first of all have to start understanding where do these data sets reside, right? Beyond just trying to look for data, your soft skills will come into play because you have to communicate to people. People need to understand what your goal is. Why do you need this? You might face some stumbling blocks, but you need the buy-in of your senior leadership or your senior managers, etc. Right? So those are the things that would help you to even start navigating this path. Okay. Depending on the business you're working for, some businesses are more traditional. They might have older, a more advanced workforce, right? People maybe above 40, above 50, right? You might be working with a startup where everybody's young and everybody's quick. Wherever you find yourself, your communication skills, your charisma, your ability to manage people, right, to get what you want comes into play. So that's the first thing, right? First of all, understanding where your data resides. When that happens, then you start moving to step 2, step 3. Maybe I pause here and allow Emeka step in to see if he still wants me to go on.
All right, that's fine. Thank you so much, Baldwin. So Baldwin have said a lot of things, starting up with understanding where the data resides. So if you hear Baldwin speak, you are going to obviously know that, see that there's a difference between how he's speaking and how maybe a traditional HR person will speak to you. And that's the impact that data has, had in his own life. I mean, he started off with saying you need to understand where the data resides. That simply tells the direction that he is going towards when it comes to people analytics. So thank you so much, Baldwin. And we're going to dive right into these discussions that I've already planned. And I guess you and I were going to take it on for now until we have the other individuals join us. Okay. So I know a couple of people on this call may be wondering, okay, we'll have HR analytics, we'll have people analytics, we'll have the normal HR, human resource management. Is there a difference between all these things? And okay, let me just put it, how we explain people analytics, and is there a difference between it and the traditional human resource management that we all know that exists out there?
Okay, so people analytics is, like I mentioned earlier, it's all about using data to understand and improve how people work in an organization. Okay, so it's about gathering insights from the data to make better decisions. There's a difference between HR reporting and HR analytics, or people reporting and people analytics, right? So a lot of the you use the term traditional HR. So let's stick to that. A lot of the traditional HR professionals are used to reporting, right? So at the end of the month, I go into the HRIS system, or I collating something manually, and I download the report, and this is the headcount report for February, for March, for April, or this is the compensation report for this month, right? We're used to going into a system, be it Navision, Success Factors, we have different legacy systems, right? You download the report, you send it to your boss, that's fine. What has happened over time is, as HR, as the world is evolving, right, and the HR landscape is evolving, senior leadership and business executives became, I don't want to use the word tired, but they became fed up of HR always coming to the executive table and talk about things that they want to do without backing it up with numbers, right? So a traditional HR person might say, oh, we need to do this, or employees are this, or employees are disengaged, or employees are, let's try an end of year party. I'm trying to speak things that I be relatable, right? Let's do a HR party, or we need to employ more people. And it was mainly based off of gut feeling. And sometimes gut feeling is important, right? But when you think about the conversations that happen at the board and the executive management level, these are you have the CEO, you have the CFO, you most likely have the chief commercial officer, you have your sales, your chief sales officer. You have these executives who mainly speak numbers every day. Your CFO is talking numbers. Your CSO is talking numbers. The CCO is talking numbers. These people are coming to present business cases, and they are backing up their business cases with numbers. So for HR to have a seat on that table and be able to speak to business problems and demand for what they want, right? HR also needed to start deviating a bit from just feeling based, or gut feeling based, or based off of certain factors, to start looking at hard numbers. Okay. And when you think about the 360 overview of a business, right? Even though it's siloed across different functions, as HR, we are managing people that cut across different functions, which means that we cannot be isolated from what's happening in sales. We cannot be isolated from what's happening in supply chain, right? We cut across the business 360. So when we are talking about reporting, right, reporting sometimes doesn't give us the ability to interact with other parts of the business. Okay, so when I report my headcount data to my executive management team, they see just one data set, right? How does this impact something else, right? How does this impact something else? So which is where analytics comes in. Analytics seeks to bring that integration between multiple data sets and multiple information pieces that sits across the organization within the confines of HR, and start trying to draw patterns in between. We're trying to draw patterns from our HR data, our HR employee growth, versus our declining performance, right? What changes did we make in this factory that may have influenced this, an attrition that is either increasing or decreasing. So HR analytics is basically looking for insights within the data. We're trying to find, what's the interesting thing within the data? What's the outlier versus HR reporting? Now, to bring back to what the question was about, the difference between the people analytics and normal HR, traditional HR, right? Traditional HR tends to focus more on, policies, recruitment, employee relations, and it's mainly based on intuition and experience, right? You have an experienced HR person who knows where all the dead bodies are lying, and they can make a decision. But I'm a new CEO, and I need to see what the data is saying. I need to understand the trends for the next X number of years. So that is just the major difference. And again, sometimes there are overlaps with people who are HR professionals and also have an analytic background or have learned people analytics. Then you're a bit more rounded within that space. You also have people like me who did not I didn't study social sciences, I'm coming from an analytic background, but I've been able to come into the HR space and understand HR to an extent, right? So there's that point where both, the traditional HR and people analytics can sort of meet and integrate together. I don't know if that's answered the question. It was a bit of a long
Yes.
answer, but I wanted to
No,
put
I
some
captured it.
foundational blocks.
All right. Thank you so much, Baldwin. So Baldwin has, really scratched a couple of things, starting up with, initially HRs, when they come out to make reports to management, basically they are, coming there without a data backing it up. And there's this, quote that is out there: without data, you're just another person with opinion, right? The only thing that can make your opinion to be more valid than my own is that we are speaking to me and saying, "Oh, Chukwemeka, this is what happened yesterday, and this is data backing it up." But if there's no data to substantiate what you are saying, you're just another person with another opinion. And leadership, when they speak, like Baldwin rightly mentioned, it's always numbers, because most businesses are there to make, to make profits. And for you to understand profit, it has to start looking at numbers, whether it has to do with people profits or whether it has to do with the normal profit that we know. But for all of them, basically, it boils down to number. And how do you, as a HR person, communicate this with the senior management without having the analytic skills? So that's where people analytics comes in. People that tend to, instead of just downloading reports from the management system, they now, try to link all these reports together and build an analysis from it. And that's where HR analytics comes in. So thank you so much, Baldwin. I think you've really, done justice to that exact question. Just to, derail for a while. So everyone that is on the call, please, I hope that you are following me to this very moment. If you are still following us, please just drop anything in the chat box so that I'll be sure that people can hear us loud and clear. Right. So if you are still here and you can hear everything that we are discussing, if you've been following what we're saying, please just drop your favorite emoji in the chat box so that I'll be sure that people can rightly hear what we are saying and that we're not just speaking to each other. All right. Can see just 5 reactions from Zenani, from iPhone, from Elizabeth, from Wellington, from Manuel. Manuel, surprise is your own favorite emoji. That's surprising. All right. Okay, fantastic. I can see other reactions dropping in. Please ensure that you fill the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping. So that's what we are going to use to share the slide for this section and also the recording of the session itself. So ensure you fill the attendance form so that by the end of this exact discussion, you can always revert back to it, listen to it on your own, and be able to understand anything that you missed out at any point in time. Okay, I don't know, Bumi, are you on the call right now? I got a notification that you should be here by now. Hi, Bumi, are you here? Hi, Bumi, if you're here, just indicate with anything so that we can bring you up to the stage as well to spotlight you for everyone. I think Bumi may not be here yet. Okay, so we are going to continue the discussion while we keep waiting for others. is there any example you've had in the last couple of years that you've been playing this exact industry? How, data-driven insights have impacted your decision making in, talent management or employee engagement or, compensation or anything in general? Is there any aspect that, data-driven decision has really impacted you from your own side, by the way?
Okay, so my current job, again, I'm sorry, I'm not really clear about the audience that is within this class. My I might vary a bit because what I do currently is mainly for leadership. So I might not delve into what I call it, the operational day-to-day HR activities. But for businesses like where I work, um, we mainly try to look into what the future holds for our business, right? So we're looking at um, what's the next 5 to 10 years going to look like with the business, right? And if we're having a business conversation around, a 5-year trajectory or a 10-year trajectory, people are going to matter at that point in time. And if we look at the world that we live in today, skills are changing rapidly. Okay, so we have one of the biggest keys for us is strategic workforce planning, right? Where we're basically looking at multiple aspects of HR, right? So we're looking at demand and supply of skills. We're looking at demand and supply of employees. We're looking at the external labor market. We're looking at gender balance, span of control, succession planning, internal HR data, attrition, etc. Right. And what we try to do is to pick these different aspects within our different businesses and then try to distill what the future is going to look like. So I'll pick an example, which is one that most people will be common with, which is attrition. Okay. So if I were planning my business forecast for the next 5 years, as a people analytics person, I'm trying to look at what has my attrition rate been like for the past couple of years, right? Most businesses would have some historical data. Okay, so you want to understand what your historical trend for attrition has been like and utilize that information to forecast what the future is going to look like, right? So that gives you a sense of where your workforce is heading at. So if I keep attracting employees at this rate, right, what am I going to be losing? Now, within this particular analysis, for instance, businesses differ. Some businesses have 1,000 employees, some 500, some 10,000, etc. With strategic planning, you're not focusing on the 100%, right? You're trying to focus on key aspects of your business, right? So for companies who have segmented their data properly, you start looking at your critical workforce segments, okay, or your key talents or your high performers. These nomenclatures might differ depending on where you're working at, right? But you want to start focusing on, okay, I have 1,000 employees within my business. I've seen what my forecast looks like for the next 2, 3 years. Okay, but within this group of employees that I have, what I want to really focus on, what matters to me are my high performers, or what matters to me are my key talents, or what matters to me, are my critical workforce segments. So within that segment, what am I losing within that segment? Right. So now we've left the general, people are leaving, people are not leaving. We've started talking about a particular segment within this group, right? Because this is where I want to focus on. This is where the CEO will be interested in. When you go to the CEO and say people are leaving, does he really care? He cares, but you tell him that, oh, key talents are attracting at a faster rate versus the overall population, then I'm going to listen to you. Like, okay, if my overall population is leaving my business, say 5% every year, but my key talents are leaving at double digits, right? 10%, 12%, that is a conversation starter between HR and senior leadership or the CEO. When you have that information, why are they leaving? Right? Now we've looked at attrition overall. We've taken it a step further to look at our key talents, high performers, critical workforce segments. We've spotted something that we think might be an issue. The next question is why? Why are they leaving? Why are the key talents leaving? That starts bringing us to conversations about compensation, right? But before you even get to compensation, What other data sets can we talk about that might give us some insight into why they're leaving? That brings you to your engagement survey data, right? A lot of businesses don't do surveys with their employees, which is fine. Again, people analytics will differ across businesses. You know, like in the bigger organizations or the multinationals, they have a larger population, so they really need to look at these things a bit more critical than an organization that has maybe 60, 100 employees, right? So guys, just work with me and imagine you're working. Everybody here should be, we want everybody here to work in super top organizations that are making strides in the industry. So you start looking at your survey data. What is my survey data saying about my employees that are leaving, right? Your survey data gives you insights that, your top ranking reason for people leaving is salary, or it's career change, or it's, they're upset about, the work from home policies or whatever it is, right? That's another data points. So when you start looking at these different data points, it starts giving you some insights into the group of people that are leaving, some information into why they are leaving, and you can start drawing some type of recommendation from this point onwards, right? In some businesses, for instance, you're looking at your turnover data, you see that, oh, people under 1 year is the large group of personnel that are leaving, right? Or Gen Zs are the ones that are leaving. So why are they leaving, right? That starts making the conversation a bit more interesting rather than generic statements. And sometimes generic statements can be correct, but when you want to present a case to your senior management leadership, you want to come with that data. So we do a lot of this within my company. We utilize a lot of survey data, we utilize a lot of attrition data, we utilize performance data. And we've used this to make different decisions. For a company like Nestle, for instance, gender balance is a big deal for us because we have a lot of global commitments, okay, that we need to hit, and across a lot of other organizations, gender balance is important. We want, certain positions within the business to have a balance between male and female. So for us, that is a key metric that we're tracking, right? And we'll look into that data, understand how we can balance the workforce within that sector, and start planning towards it, right? I don't do execution, so you other HR professionals on the call are the ones that do the execution. We just present data, we recommend, and of course we support the execution, but our job sort of is more consulting and more recommending to the business.
All right, fantastic response there, Baldwin. So, guys, I hope you're with your pen and paper because if Baldwin is speaking, it's really important that you are taking note of things that he's saying because, he's dropping a lot of gold. And it's important for us to know all these things. He said a lot, starting from, key workforce planning, succession planning, looking at the future entirely. So because he works closer, with senior management, he tends to look at the entire data that exists in the company, and from there bring out insights that is going to be important for that exact company. There's what he said that actually made sense to me, right? So it's about their company is trying to also find out why are people leaving, all right? So he was talking about the attrition data that he looks at, and he said, why are people leaving? Now, this is a company that is going a step ahead. Instead of the normal exit interview that most people get when they're leaving a company, this is them trying to do an engagement survey earlier in the life of everyone still in that exact company and do what we call a stay interview, right? And your company may not be doing this if you don't have data, all right? So it's just maybe, Christian wants to resign. Okay, maybe 2 days before Christian leaves, you're coming to Christian. Oh, Christian, how are you? Is there anything that have happened over the last 5 years? What could I have done better? Christian is already leaving, okay? And the most amazing thing about this is that if that exact interview was done possibly, 2 or 3 months ahead before Christian made his decision, there is possibility that Christian will still be in that exact company. But how are you going to know this if you don't have data? So data is very, very important. Data is critical for your own decision making. Like he mentioned, he plays in a global market that also take, gender balance very, very important. If there's no data to say, okay, we'll have 30,000 employees, 50% of them that are male, the other 50 that are female. So someone needs to, every day monitor the hirings, the gender groups that both parties belong to be sure that they're, sticking to what their own plan for that exact company is. Okay, I think we have Bumi on the call right now. Hi, Bumi. Do you want to say hello to the house? Hi, Bumi. Are you able to unmute and, also?
Hi. Hi everyone. I'm so sorry that I came in late. It's been a long day and been on a trip. My phone is buzzing around the hook, and I'm really sorry about that. But I'm here now, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me over.
All right, it's nice to have you, Bumi. I mean, money has to be made. I'm sure it's money moves that you are making, so it's very, very important also.
I wish.
All right, but it's good to have you on the call. Let's just, get to know you for the sake of people that, we're not here when we did your own introduction. So, Bumi, you have the floor. A bit about you.
Yeah, okay. So my name is Bumi, and I currently work as the Vice President of People and Transformation in Waka Now. It's a travel agency slash travel tech company. And I'm new there actually. So I've just been working with them for like a month. Prior to then, prior to that, I was working with Deloitte in London as I was a consultant with Deloitte in London for transformation and change management, HR transformation, change management, and all of that. And yeah, so I've held a lot of roles in HR over time. Been head of human resources for a French multinational company called Erica, heading human resources across West Africa there. And so yeah, that's me in a nutshell. My expertise is in human resources, digital transformation in human resources, change management, and a little bit of people analytics. So I'm glad to be here.
All right, fantastic intro there, Bumi. It's great to have you on the call. I'm quite interested in change management. I know, I mean, this first time I'm seeing, change management being also attached to human resource. So it simply means that a lot of things has been going on. I mean, initially when we hear change management, we are looking at, okay, is inside, the tech ecosystem, we're looking at all those aspects. But now you just mentioned change management. So I'm just going to, hit you from that exact angle really around how HR practices have transformed in the last couple of years. What has been going on, and what do you have to say about it, really, for me?
Okay, that's an interesting question. But I mean, I think that's applicable in every field. But more recently has been, a rise in the rate of how HR has become very heavily dependent on technology. There's a massive shift in terms of people's interest in things that are more technology based. That wasn't what HR was about in the past. A lot of HR was very operational and a bit of strategy. But these days, you find that HR is venturing into things like artificial intelligence. There's a lot of need for HR in terms of, ERPs, ERP solution architecture and things that, fields that HR, I mean, people analytics is one of them, data analytics is one of them. It's always been, but there's a bigger reliance on those things right now to be able to actually deliver properly and support the business properly in achieving its goals. So I think that the critical shift and the critical evolution that's happened in recent times has really been mostly the technological shift, the digital shift. A lot of HR, a lot of organizations right now are digitally transforming the workforce and trying very hard to see that people are brought up to speed. Things like processes like performance management, processes like recruitment. I mean, recruitments are relying heavily on ATSs. Those are applicant tracking systems, performance management and talent management tools that are all over the place. And there's also a bit more reliance on data to make very informed decisions, but not just make informed decisions, but also to predict outcomes. So there's a lot of there's a lot of things going on in that space in terms of HR. So HR is requiring a lot more future oriented skills than than they used to require in the past.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Bumi. I love the fact that we are in agreement with the things that I've been discussing before now with Baldwin. It simply means that the ecosystem is moving together across the globe. All right. So you're talking about some technological shifts that is now aiding HRs to make moves in the industry. Are there some possible or continuous learning and upskilling that a few HRs that already exist in the ecosystem needs to have that they don't have yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the first is to have like HR, the first is to have an interest in technology, like just be interested in it, love it, enjoy it, and go after it. So there's always the disconnect between the business and and the business strategy a lot of times and what HR is trying to push. If HR takes a backseat to how the business is run and is not really immersing itself in being part of the development of strategy, then they lose they sort of lose their pathway in being able to affect the business or impact the business very positively. So in terms of skills that an HR person needs to have, I think the first skill would be interested in your business, become a domain expertise in, whatever area your business is sitting in. If, for example, I work in the travel industry, learn everything about travel, learn everything, soak it in as a business, be a business partner in the real sense of the word, like understand the industry, understand the dynamics of the industry, stretch yourselves beyond beyond the HR part of the business or beyond the operational needs for the business, but stretch yourself into what the business needs per time and what the market is saying, understand the market, know how to communicate with business leaders and senior stakeholders in terms of how they generate revenue, how they become profitable, what their technology need is. I'll say the second thing is a lot more HR people need to also develop, be involved in their technical expertise, like be less traditional and be more futuristic, be more innovative about the things and the solutions you provide. Yes, HR is a lot, it's very standardized and very traditional. There's a lot of things when it comes to HR that is like, this is how we normally do it. This is how things normally are. This is how we run appraisals. This is how but be seen as an advocate for innovation within your firm. Think through that process. When there's a business need for something, I try to personally just think through the process and think about ways I could enhance it without breaking, and still remain compliant with, what HR practices I am trying to be compliant with. But is there a different way that I can see employee engagement? Is there a different way I can do this payroll that's more, and offer the solutions to your business leaders? Have a voice, I mean, in your business, and be a very proactive voice in your business with respect to how you can manage processes and make it more efficiently. And I think that what other skills? I think, yeah, great communication skills. I think as HR people, yeah, I mean, you do a lot of communication. You have to talk to people constantly. Well, after all, your work is people, you do the difficult conversations. So learn how to have difficult conversations with you. Create your own methodology in terms of how you want to have a difficult conversation. How do you want to go from here to here in terms of you want to fire a person? How do you want to structure that communication before you get into it? Have a methodology that works for you. Do you want to share pleasantries first and then move to, talking about their day, and then move to, just ripping the bandage off, and then move to, providing, sharing what kind of support you want to, and, think about these things before you get thrown in the mix and start implementing. So have your methodology and have your approach to communicating, and depending on the stakeholder that you are, and understand your stakeholders properly. I think that's the only last thing I would say. Stakeholder engagement is key for HR people. So read everything you can, go on LinkedIn, learn everything you can about stakeholder management. There's some very interesting resources out there that HR people need to get into, whether you're doing HR or doing change management, learn everything you can. and read everything you can. And these days I encourage a lot of what I've talked about are soft skills, but they're really the things that stand you out as an HR person. I could say, go learn about change management or people analytics and everything. And those things are good, but the delivery of those things are really what makes you very seasoned and makes your business trust you and trust the things that come out of you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bumi. I love the approach that we're taking to this discussion. So we have Baldwin here. Baldwin is more of an insight person when it comes to data in HR, and you are coming from the aspect of, the soft aspect, and that's really a great combination to have. So we mentioned a couple of things, starting with you should, stretch yourself beyond the operational aspects of human resource, and also how do the company make profit. Most times what used to happen those days that most HRs that just interested in the people aspect of the things and not really how we are making the money itself. But in recent times when things like the aspect of payments that deals with incentives started coming up, that's when HRs now start looking, okay, these sales that are making that people are not asking for incentives towards it, they are now getting more interested. How is the calculation done? What are we going to put into consideration to give this incentive to the salespeople that have made that exact sale? So thank you so much, Bumia. I mean, you also mentioned things like understanding your stakeholders, and we should also have a methodology that works for us. Have your own approach that's going to move you from point A to point B. So I'm going to come to you, Baldwin, right now. Let's look at it from the people analytics aspect, right? So what are some of the tools or skills you feel someone looking to get into people analytics or the analysis part of HR? What are some of those skills or tools that the person needs to have before they dive right into it? Hi, Baldwin.
Yeah.
Hi.
I think. Oh, sorry. Was that question for me?
No, it was for Baldwin.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought it was.
You can go ahead, Bumi.
No, he probably would. Okay. I mean, Excel, I think that's the basic. You just have to be solid. You have to be really solid in understanding Microsoft Excel. Start from there before you go into your Power BI and all of that and Tableau and all that. But Excel is very user friendly and it's easy. It's a low hanging fruit. So I think every HR person needs to, as a matter of fact, I think every HR person needs to be a top gunner in both Excel and PowerPoint presentation. But for I mean, given the context of what we're speaking about today, I think, yeah, that is very critical in terms of people analytics. You need to understand Excel. You also need to understand how to interpret data. But I think Baldwin is probably going to be able to share a lot more about that because he's the
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bumi is spot on the technical skill bit. So I'll mention. I mean, I think the first thing would be data literacy, right? So just trying to the ability to understand, interpret, and use data, right? So when I discuss with data literacy to people, it can be from the very basic things of I spend money every day. I start tracking my expenses, right? Start tracking my data expenses. Okay. If I go to the gym and I do X number of reps, how do I feel afterwards? Just start doing it from like your everyday stuff. It doesn't have to be anything that has to do with your profession at this point in time, right? Just start, pick a small data set within your life. People have like this Fitbit watches and Apple Watch and all that. I see them counting number of steps every day. Oh, I did 5,000 steps, right? That's a data point, right? So I did 5,000 steps every day for 30 days and I lost, I don't know, 10 kg. If I started doing 10,000 steps for the same 30 days, what would the result be? That's data already, right? So that basic ability to just understand and interpret, I would say, is important. Then there's the analytical thinking bits, right? Which, will come with maybe some level of experience, but this is where you're looking at data and trying to use it to solve a problem, right? This is not a people analytics class, so I wouldn't go too deep. But ideally, the first thing is even having been the ability to even craft out your problem, right? Can I craft my problem and write it out in one single sentence? A lot of I see a lot of HR people who don't know how to craft their problem, right? They can talk about it, but what are we trying to solve for? How do we scope that problem to get it to just one simple sentence, right? We are losing employees in sales southeast part of Nigeria, and it has mainly been within the factory or within the field office or within the branch office. That is okay. We know we're losing people in the organization. We've distilled it down to salespeople in southeast in this particular location or this particular region or whatever it is, right? Okay, that's the problem, right? We can start looking at the data to understand why that is happening or how we can solve that problem. Then of course there's the storytelling bit. Part of what Bumi mentioned was PowerPoint presentation, but storytelling is also a skill. It's not, some people have it naturally, but it's a skill that everyone can learn, right? Same as communication as well. So being the ability to really translate the data or the insights, what you've uncovered, to different classes of people, because sometimes you're talking to line managers who are a bit more operational, sometimes you're talking to senior leaders, some other times you're talking to people who may not necessarily have, the kind of knowledge that you have. You want to be able to tell a story at all times. Nobody cares about all the what happens behind, the technical bits, and nobody really cares about that at the mid and senior level, right? What they care about is how you present the story, how you present the case, and the problem you're solving for. Then you have the technical skills that Bumi mentioned, right? Your Excel. Excel is, I'd say everybody, HR, non-HR, should learn Excel. Excel should be a course after your 4-year degree, in my opinion, for everybody. Right? Nothing happens in a workforce without Excel. It's all like the backbone for a lot of things. No matter the tools, I mean, I've been in this space but no matter what tools we've utilized, the bedrock of most of it is still Microsoft Excel. So if you don't get anything from this session, I would say please, focus on Excel, regardless of if you're going into people analytics or not. Then I'd say the last thing would be collaboration, right? Analytics is not a very interesting field sometimes for people who don't really like data, and sometimes we see a lot of HR people who don't really care about mathematics, they don't care about the numbers, so if I'm having to work with these types of stakeholders, right, I need to be able to collaborate effectively, right? Bumi also mentioned the part of technology. HRA is not a technology center, right? But we need technology to drive, a lot of the things that we're wanting to do now and in the future, which means that we need to collaborate with IT. Sometimes we need to collaborate with marketing. We need to collaborate with functional heads to understand what their business problems are so we can support them better. So I think collaboration will be the last thing I'd mention. So yeah, that sort of wraps it up in terms of skills that I think are required for effective people analytics journey.
All right, thank you so much, Baldwin. I think the discussion is getting more interesting. So you mentioned something that I actually loved, which is Excel should be a course after our degree. I mean, in all honesty, I don't think there is anything you are going to do in any workforce without Excel. No matter so, even thinking about it outside, human resource, like you mentioned, most roles that you do definitely have, dotted lines to Excel. Even if it's not Excel, it might be, bullshit that you're using. We are definitely going to make use of a spreadsheet. So if that's a skill that as of today you are yet to get, it's something that you need to look towards. Maybe you're just someone that is looking to land a role. It's important that you have that Excel skills, because that is what I always do. Specifically, if I'm hiring, there will always be an Excel test. Whether it's you are going for anything in the company, where you're going for anything that I can possibly think about, there has to be an Excel test. And I mean, this is the direction that most companies are, because the idea is really, if you can handle Excel, that means you can basically, learn another thing that you should be able to learn. So thank you so much for that, Baldwin. You also mentioned things that relates to data literacy. For anyone going into HR analytics, you need to understand data as a whole. I mean, your daily things that comes up in the company, how it tilts towards the exact company plans. And also you talked about how can I craft my own problem? I mean, you have a problem, or can you exactly present that problem and then look at the solution afterwards. It's also something that Baldwin mentioned. So thank you so much, Baldwin and Bumi. I mean, we've said a lot of things in this exact two aspects. So I'm going to go to the other side when it comes to certification and education, right? I mean, in the current trend now, there's people diving to secure second degree, third degree, fourth degree in these different places. So, but to you, I mean, this question is for both of you, Baldwin and Bumi, of course. Do you think between education, certification, and skill and experience, which one would you place to be, very, very more important when trying to go into the people analytics aspect of things? Education, higher degree learning, or okay, oh Bumi, I just got a message right now. All right, you can take this before it happens.
I just
Okay,
wanted to take the answer, and then
all
I'm
right,
so
just between education, certification, and skill or experience, which one do you deem more
and
important than
I
the other?
just apologize to the audience as well. So I'm like very in the middle of something. I just actually flew down to New York today. So I'm currently in New York right now for the conferences going on, UNGA and all of that. So it's intensely crazy busy for me. Sorry that I have to leave you guys. I was really enjoying this, that I have to leave you guys very quickly. So
Right.
so I'd rank skill and experience before any other thing, in my opinion. I mean, when you know how to do something, you know how to do it. It's just what it is. Like there's nothing beats having having a practical experience with anything. It's not just even about people analytics. That's not to downplay. So I think that what certifications and I mean, the fact is, the objective of certifications and other forms of learning is to build your skills. So really the end goal is to actually grow your skills. So um, focus on growing your skill, but you can't grow your skill if you don't have like an academic or a working knowledge of what you want to grow your skills on. So if you can't know what to do with Excel if you do not take Excel courses, if you not tinker with using Excel. So for me, I'd say at the end of the day, what people are looking for is that, can you do it? Like, it's to answer that question. Can you really do the job? If we sit you in front of a computer right now, or if we sit in front of a decision. And I must add something to what Baldwin had said about data, all the things he said. The thing is, for a lot of HR people, you use data more than you think you do. Everybody uses data, like every single thing. What we're doing right now is information, is data. Data is information, basically. So, I mean, in your job, you probably are using data. The problem is you're probably not being structured about the use of your data. So there's something called structured data and unstructured data. There's data that's just all over the place. So there's data that you have access to on a daily basis as an HR person. Every single day when I sit in my office and my HR business partners come to meet me about, okay, this is happening in their geography and in their market, and the person in Ghana is like, oh, okay, for me this person in Gambia is like this. That all of that information they're giving me, that's data. That's I'm working through that pool of information, and I'm finding ways to structure it so I can either make a decision or I can generate an insight that I mean, that's basically what you use data for. Gain insight to be able to either make a decision, gain insight to be able to find clarity around something, gain insight to be able to move the business forward one way or the other. So every single day, when data comes to you, make sure you find a way to structure it mentally. Like, take the data, and it might not be as technical as what a person like Baldwin is doing, but in HR, we're exposed to both qualitative and quantitative data. Qualitative data is simply from the word quality. So data that is not numbers, not numeric. So if I sit in front of my boss and I say to my boss that, I really like working here. This organization makes me very happy and I enjoy coming to the office every day. That's actually data that I've just given my boss, but that's qualitative data. It qualifies something. Quantitative data is numeric data. Oh, this is my appraisal score. You scored 80%. You scored 80 over 100. That's qualitative data. So as HR people, every single day you're working with data. So ultimately, look for ways that you can always gather those two data to be able to generate insights. That's just adding to what Baldwin had said. But back to your question around skills and certifications, I think that I mean, to do HR, you have to have a degree anyway. So, but you can have any kind of degree. It really doesn't matter. Like your exposure to a degree has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with where you end up in. So have your degree, but more important is your interest, your curiosity about looking for a place to hone your skills. Like go to your, I mean, when you get to the office, if you have an IT department, think about one of your process as an HR person. What process do you think that it would be more efficient if you used analytics? If you had to think through it using data, either quantitative or qualitative, is it think through one of your processes, recruitment, even if you don't have an ATS, recruitment. Okay, this process might be more efficient if we started ranking all the quality of hires we have on an Excel spreadsheet, and then do that, practice it, move to something else, validate it from anybody who has people analytics skills to just be able to give yourself that feeling that you really know what you're doing or you're on the right path. And you see how you just it keeps growing on you day by day. At the end of the day, you find that you don't. I tell my people all the time, I'm like, guys, I can't make a decision without data. So if you're coming to meet me and you're saying, oh, this is, I think this, my department, oh, people need salary increase. Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel the emotions for you. But if you're not coming to me with structured data, it's very difficult for me to know what my rationale would be to make such a recommendation or to give such an approval. What would then be my rationale? So, I mean, but if you came to me and you said, inflation rate has grown by 15% in the last 1 year, year on year. And so we're thinking maybe we should adjust the cost of living. We should make a cost of living adjustment. That's a different conversation from coming to tell me that we need to increase salaries without any data to back it up. So every single time, just practice the art of, asking yourself what data can validate, what qualitative or quantitative data can validate these things that I'm saying. And, you can get data from anywhere, surveys, one-to-one sessions and interviews with people. You want to know whether you should adjust something in the office as an HR person, set up a meeting with the stakeholders that are involved and have a one-to-one, structure the meeting, rehearse your questions before you go into that meeting and generate the data that comes from that meeting and do it across 2, 3, 4 business people so that you can line up the data in a way and find the patterns. So data is meaningless if you cannot structure it and if you don't see the patterns out of it to be able to generate those insights. So yeah, that's what I'll be rounding up with. Thank you. I think I've deviated
All right.
from.
Thank you so much, Bumi.
Thank you.
I understand. Bumi has said a lot of things, and thank you so much. I think I would just highlight some of the things that you mentioned, starting with the last. That data will have structured data, will have unstructured data, and it's less for you to also prepare before you go for any meeting. Which means if you have an unstructured data, you need to be able to structure it well and be able to tell your story. If someone is coming to hand and saying, "Oh, I want you to raise my salary," you need to come with a backup. For instance, if you're speaking to me without a data, it's just an opinion, really. If you're telling me, oh, you need this, is an opinion. But when you structure it with data, that makes it very, very valid. So thank you so much, Bumi, and we are really, really grateful to have you on the call. All right, back to what you said. I know you mentioned that skill and experience is the top for you before the rest. I know you want to leave us to, go and run into other money-making things, which is very, very important. So on behalf of the analytics, I say a very good, great thank you for joining us on the call for tonight. All right, till next time that we meet again. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so for everyone, it's also important for us to fill the attendance form so that you get the recording of this session, okay? A lot of things we have said, we've had a lot of discussion, but if you fill the attendance form, you get the recording and the slide of this exact discussion so they can go through it on your own. All right, so why Bumi is leaving us, just categorically on this call, we had Richmond join us also. I mean, it's the Lord's doing. So hi, Rich. Do you want to do a brief introduction of yourself so that we can dive right into it also?
Yeah, I just want to say sincere apologies to everyone. I know the call started early. I think there was a miscommunication on my end regarding the timing. So again, my sincere apologies. My name is Richmond. I like to be called Rich, just to avoid the confusion between Richard and Richmond, because most times I hear people call me Richard. So just meet me halfway, okay? So my background again is in people analytics. I've been in people analytics space for the past 4 or 5 years. I work with a company called Thermo Fisher Scientific. It's a biotechnology company here in the US. And prior to that, I used to work for Deloitte Consulting. Also in the stream of people analytics, my focus was on more strategy and implementation work. By implementation work, using advanced analytics to basically solve client problems. And so that is just a little bit about me. Is there anything else I'm missing, Chooks, that I could add?
What's the background like? Did you find yourself in HR or people analytics initially? How did you get to climb into this XR role?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my background is in statistics and market research. So I did my master's here in the US and I've been here since. And so how I got into people analytics was basically I had the opportunity to work with a company. It's a healthcare company, one of the largest healthcare company in the US. It's called Centene Corporation. So I was an intern for 1 year. And within that span of time, I had the opportunity to work with the HR department, basically using my statistics skill set to help some of the problems they were facing. And so I happened to join them right after school because by chance there was an opening position for somebody with my skill set to be on board. So that was actually my first time being officially a member of a people analytics team. So I can say my skill set, I'm not HR directly person, but I just happened to work on a series of projects for the HR people, and they found it interesting given the fact that I had a strong technical skill set and background. So it was just a natural fit for me, and I've been enjoying it since. It's been a wonderful experience, and I keep learning every day, every time.
All right. Thank you so much, Rich. So I'm going to dive right back to that exact question I asked for me before she left. So for you, which one do you rank the most when it comes to people analytics? Is it the skill and the experience, or is it going for the degree, or is it going for the certification? Which one, works it out for you?
Well, I think it's their levels, right? Most importantly, you have to have a foundational understanding of everything you do. And just this morning, I was having a conversation with one of my mentees who was just kind of curious to know if, he fits into the space of people analytics. I think everybody within the HR space, basically people analytics, right? Everything we do is employee data. There are certain fundamental understanding about even how to handle employee data that you need to basically have that kind of background in terms of like HR or maybe organizational psychology, because that gives you that foundational level or foundational settings to be able to be successful in this space. That does not mean if you don't have HR background, it wouldn't be successful. But I think if you have the opportunity to study something related to IO or HR, I think it's a great start. So I would go with somebody with that kind of fundamental basics. And then, of course, most second up is the skills and experience. For me, like I mentioned, I only got into this space even though I don't have HR background, but I had to work on a series of projects. And so I got the exposure, how to work with employee data and stuff like that. So that was something that was unique for me. And then I would definitely rank certification as last. It is great to upskill yourself. It is great to continue to learn, but you have to demonstrate that kind of foundation, which anybody who happens to study like IO or HR will definitely have a good understanding about the entire HR process. Remember, HR is more like a series of things we do, right? From hiring through to exit. And so in between that, there are certain things, if you don't have HR background, you have to catch up. So that is where I'll start from. If you have the bachelor's degree in that field, it's great. And then most importantly, I'll rank the skills and experience. And then lastly, the certifications.
All right. Thank you so much for that answer there, Richmond. So Richmond mentioned, first off, he is going to rank to have a child background first, then skill and experience next, and then also the certification. But there's something that you mentioned about yourself that actually struck me. You mentioned even though that you do not have a HR background, you were able to break into that exact space by working on multiple projects and getting your hands dirty. So that simply means that for people that do not have that HR background, it doesn't mean you don't have an entry into this exact industry. So you can use Rich as an example. Obviously, he did a couple of projects and then he got the skills and the experience that he needed and he broke right into that exact industry. So thank you so much, Rich. Let me ask our brother here, Baldwin. So Baldwin, meet Rich, Rich meet Baldwin. Okay. So
Hi, Rich.
Hi, Badwin.
Thanks for joining because I've been holding the fort for the last 40 something minutes.
I'll send you money to buy coffee. Okay.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Or like Eba or something.
all right, that's fine. So, Bobby, for you, which one do you rank in your own scale when it comes to skill experience and certification and also higher degree learning?
I don't know if I should rank. I would say they do different things, right? So I think a certification can signal expertise in this field, right? Um, that's the only reason I would go for a people analytics certification. For companies that care about it, yeah, it could signal some type of expertise. I'm yet to see companies that care about people analytics certification, right? So if this call is about people analytics, certification should even be in the conversation, right? I don't think I have come across any, company that is people analytics forward thinking that has really cared about certification in people analytics. Rich might have seen, but I haven't seen, right?
Well,
Um,
I don't think there's certification
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
So you're right.
so I wouldn't say pursue that, right? I would say pursue skill and experience, which is what I think, collectively we've all agreed on. Skill and experience. Um, I would say something. It's not a very easy role to hire for, right? And Rich can second me on this. The people analytics role, especially at maybe especially so a senior level, it's not a very easy role to hire for, right? And think about it this way, guys. You're looking for a candidate who has human resource background to an extent, okay? Right? That person also has to have some level of analytical expertise or technical know-how, right? They have to be able to consult because most times we're not bringing you in as a people analytics person to, like I mentioned, reporting is different from analytics, right? So if we need someone to do reporting, we'll bring an analyst, right? But as an analytics person, right, you also need to be able to consult because you're dealing with senior stakeholders for the most part, right? And if you have to consult, you need to be able to communicate, storytell, make slides, make presentations. So you see how the skills keep adding up. Now, if you even want to go a step further, right? Rich, for instance, has background in statistics, right? And maybe he's delved a bit into data science, which even makes him might make me a richer candidate, right? But even if we take out the data science aspect, right, looking for a person who has HR background, HR expertise to a certain extent, he's also analytically savvy, right? Has some level of consulting background, and can communicate, can storytell. It's not a very easy skill to have. You can find it a lot in marketing, right? If you're looking for a marketing insights person, you find that, right? Marketing, they do analytics, but you see this HR space, a lot of the HR people we have out there, they don't like analytics. They don't want to talk about analytics. They don't like numbers. I do trainings in my company, so I know what I'm saying, right? Because as people analytics, employees, we need to start, training, doing capability building for HR BPs and whatnot, right? So it's not a very easy skill to come across, which is why I said if you're going to come into this field, I love the route that Rich took. He did internship for 1 year. That's painstaking, right? Probably maybe earning not a very great salary, but he did it for 1 year. I entered because I was curious, right? And like I said, I entered into an organization. I had no foundation of people analytics, so I was drowning. Rich, I was drowning, for the first 6 months. So it's again because even the top HR people will not know how to really help you. I'm just trying to be as realistic as possible. Your head of HR might not be able to save you and tell you what to do with the data. They might have an idea about HR, but they don't know anything about correlation. They don't know about trying to add performance data to, salary data to this. So sometimes you might not have that hand holding, as the case may be, right? So if you don't have the opportunity, you need to grind. If you have the opportunity, you are able to get into a consulting firm or get into a firm that has people that are already seasoned, then you find it a bit much easier. So skill and experience will be important. If you have a foundational knowledge of HR, that's fine. I didn't have any foundational knowledge. However, I had business knowledge. So I was already project management certified. I'd worked for about 5 years already. So I had business knowledge. So I don't know if it would be as easy for somebody maybe coming out of school to just say they want to go and pursue people analytics without having some level of business knowledge. Might be a bit tricky, right? Certification is is a nice to have, It's a nice to have.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Baldwin. I think please confirm that you can hear me. I think I'm freezing on my second screen.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I mean, you said a couple of things. I'm going to start with the last thing that you mentioned, that certification is a nice to have. There is one thing I always tell people, before I became CEO of Analytics, right? People used to reach out to me, hi, Chukwemeka, do you want to write this certification? We are going to help you out. You don't even have to come. Just, apply. We are going to, run it for you. And HR guys know this. They know that certification is just there, really. I mean, it's a nice to have, it's a nice to boost your own, portfolio, but it's just a way to certify a knowledge that you already have. And if there's no knowledge to certify, it means that it's just a piece of paper for you. Because in any role that you're trying to get into right now, there's always a skill assessment stage. So if you've gone to, have someone help you get all those things, when it gets to that the skill assessment stage, you're definitely going to fall off. So if you're looking towards starting off with certification, is a no-no, because the first thing that you need to have is first go for skill and experience, like we've all agreed on this call, and then also go for trainings, learning to also boost your own project aspect learning if you've not, had all those background in HR before now. So thank you, Baldwin. Thank you, Rich. I mean, I would love for us to continue having this discussion, but my boss is already, buzzing me and telling me that it's about time that we start, rounding up the entire session. So for everyone on the call, please don't forget to fill the attendance form so that you get the recording of this session and also the slide that we're using for this session. It's very, very important so that you can also go through it on your own and be able to, hear some of the things that was said before you joined and maybe when you dropped off and stuff like that. So just to round up, I'm just going to ask, Baldwin and Rich for, their last words relating to what's your own advice to someone that is trying to get into people analytics entirely. Okay, so I don't know. Rich, you can go first.
So my advice to anybody who wants to change a career into the space of people analytics or probably looking to start a career in people analytics is it is a fun space. It is a lot of learning. Just think about it as working with people data. People are complex, people are complicated, people are unpredictable. So your ability to grasp understanding about this is something that you really enjoy. And so I would just say go for it. Give me a sec. I have my little one. Do you mind, Baldwin, if you can, and then I'll take it over from you if you don't mind.
Sure. Okay, just to wrap up, right? And I mean, it's been a very great session so far. But I'd say for people analytics specifically, since this is an analytics audience, right? I'd say just focus on immersing yourself in learning about data tools and techniques, right? And you don't have to be in an organization that has so much employees. You can start small, okay? Start from your little team of 10 people, 20 people, right? And then start progressing into larger projects. We've mentioned a couple of tools that I think are relevant, super relevant, which is Microsoft Excel. Don't try to, let's pace yourself, right? Some people want to learn everything at once. You don't have to jump from not knowing Excel to wanting to go learn somebody like Power BI. Some people do it. I've met people who have Power BI skills, but they don't have Excel skills. But I would say foundationally, Excel is your best bet, right? Start reading. There's a website called aihr.com. They're very people analytics facing, right? They have a lot of materials. Um, they can be quite pricey, but they have some free case studies. I've also seen case studies from EY. I'm pretty sure PwC, Deloitte, a lot of the consulting firms have materials. There are a lot of free HR conferences that talk about people analytics. You can find some information on LinkedIn, etc. So I'd say just do a lot of research, right? But focus on trying to build those skills. And a lot of the people analytics functions across organizations at the moment are not perfect. We're all still shaping and reshaping what we know about people analytics, right? So, there is it's not as standardized and as firmly fitted as other functions are. That's what I would say, right? Sales, supply chain, marketing, these functions have existed for across businesses for the longest of time. People analytics is still fairly new. So the little the little you might know would go a long way, right? The little you know would go a long way. So don't wait till you're perfect to start trying to handle projects or start trying to raise your hand when they ask if somebody wants to be a people analytics champion in your organization, or just start that conversation with your head of HR, right? You don't need to wait for them to create the department or create that unit, right? You can, oh, boss, I want to start doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, right? Every month. I want to start reporting our exit survey data and this data and this data. Or I want to start merging these data sets with these data sets. How can I start cleaning our data? How can I start, managing our employee data in an effective way? So researching tools and different techniques. And I mean, both of us on this call, I'm pretty sure that maybe our names are on the conference. You can check me up on LinkedIn if you need some assistance. We can always chat or something like that. So I'd say it's an interesting field, like Rich mentioned earlier. It's a good time to get into it. A lot of organizations are looking for professionals within this space. So I'd say a lot of opportunities there. Thank you so much, Emeka.
All right. Thanks so much, Baldwin. I mean, you've captured a lot of things. Okay. So thank you. And I hope everyone on the call got that. If you didn't, please make sure that you fill the form and we're going to send you the recording afterwards. Okay. Hi, Rich. Do you have anything you want to also add before, I take it up from here and, talk to the people from our own angle?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing Baldwin had mentioned that I'm going to just reiterate. I think when it comes to the skills and experience section, if you don't currently are into it, one thing I suggest, especially if you were a student and coming into it, is to be able to showcase what you have done. So as you learn something in Excel, something in Power BI, whatever you are comfortable with, I would encourage you to have a repository, meaning keep track of it. The good thing is when you have an opportunity to talk to, say, Baldwin or anybody in the space, it's not going to be like, you don't know anything. It's something you have done, and that even set the conversation. So make sure whatever you are learning, have a repository, especially in this space. Whatever data you are analyzing, whatever reports you are creating, whatever dashboard you are creating, have a repository of it. And I think it will go a long way to help you. And also be consistent if you are really serious about this space. Day in and day out, try to learn something. Reach out to people on LinkedIn who are in this space, and we are happy to talk to you. And I shared a few examples of organizations you can join. Baldwin mentioned AIHR. I sent the link, and there's also a new one that is upcoming, the Society for People Analytics. Please feel free to be a part of. And then I hope you have fun in this space, and we are here to help you. We are here to direct you. We are here to guide you. So that is all, Chooks. Thanks again for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, Rich. And thank you so much, Baldwin. So right now, I'm going to use the next 15 minutes to walk people through some things that they also need to know pertaining to this. And guys, please, if you have a question, feel free to type it in the chat box. And Rich and Baldwin are going to be looking at it while I run through this, okay? And also, if you stay till the end of the session, I also give the opportunity for people to, raise their hand and speak. I can see someone is already raising their hand. But let me just, walk through this exact second part before we now, get to take all those questions. And while I'm at it, please ensure you fill the attendance form because it's very, very important for you. So how can you get into the career path? Okay, we've said a lot of things about HR analytics, but how can you really get into this exact career path with us here at Analytics course. These are part of the things that we also offer to our students. We have a lot of courses that we're currently doing, but at the moment we also have HR analytics, and that's what we are here to discuss right now. So I was happy when I think Baldwin mentioned something relating to data literacy and how can you craft, your own the problem of what you are having and how do you solve it really. Because one thing is key for you to break into HR analytics space, you need to understand problem solving. And that is the first thing that we are going to walk you through here in our own program, starting with problem solving. Okay, we're going to walk you through problem solving. We're going to walk you through Excel, which is very, very important. What are the different functions? How do you trim? How do you clean? How do you build your pivot table? How do you build your dashboard? How do you make all these things happen using Excel? We are also going to put you through this Excel track. And of course, Power BI. Power BI is very, very important. It may not be, but it is very important if you're going to be working for a larger company. Because Excel has its own limitations. I think for any data set above 1 million, it's 1,000 rows. Excel may not be able to, process the entirety of that data, which means you need a bigger tool. And that is where Power BI comes in. So how do you analyze a bigger data set using Power BI? These are things we're also going to walk you through. The amazing dashboards that you see, how do you get to build them as a HR person? And then, of course, we talk about SQL, structured query language. Okay, so for, I think when Baldwin started this discussion initially, he mentioned that you might find yourself in a company that is just, starting up, and they may not have a database. And that means that you may not be playing around with SQL. But if you find yourself in a big company that has a database, which means for you to analyze your data, you need to be able to bring it out from that exact database and analyze. That is where SQL comes in. Okay, so we're going to also walk you through and teach you everything that you need to know pertaining to SQL before we dive right into the HR aspect of the training also, which is how do you use Excel, Power BI, and SQL when it comes to HR analytics and performance evaluation. So walk people through this exact track, how you perform this performance evaluation using Excel, okay? Because you might be in a company that do not have a HR management system, which means you need to start up with spreadsheets, you need to start up with Google Sheets, and so on and so forth. How do you make use of it to even build your performance appraisals and things like that? So that's part of the trainings that we also offer. And of course, you're going to also learn HR metrics and life cycle, HR analysis and dashboarding, how do you prepare your own dashboard, and also collaboration and report automation. I think is either Rich or Bowden that also mentioned collaboration. So as a people analyst, collaboration is very, very important because you are going to collaborate with a couple of teams. You are going to try to get data from different people and be able to build all this. And of course, building your case and creating action, and also how do you leverage ChatGPT for analytics. So the program runs for 4 months. We are going to learn it massively in the classroom for 3 months, and then you're going to intern with us for 1 month. So Richmond said something. He mentioned that he didn't have the HR background, but he was able to work on a couple of projects that made it easy for him to break into the industry. So you can see that it's down to how you want to get into this. I always use myself for an example. I studied civil engineering first degree, did MBA in business and management, and then here I am moving from data analytics to governance, risk and compliance to cyber security without even a degree in all those areas. So it's 100% boils down to the skills that you've been able to gather, the project that you've been able to work on, and the portfolio that you have. So one key thing I always tell people that try to break into anything that has to do with analytics is have a portfolio. And for any of these key learning areas that you have, you will be working on projects that you are going to also put in your portfolio. So, and these are things that you show as evidence of your learning. So I always make an example for people that if you have a car right now and it breaks down, who are you going to give your car to repair? The person with a degree from Harvard University, or the person that is telling you, oh, this is my mechanic workshop. I've repaired an Aston Martin, I've repaired a Lexus, I've repaired a Range Rover. This is my workshop. Who are you going to give your car to repair? And most time, the response is always, I'm going to give it to the person that has an evidence. So that is where your portfolio comes in. All the key learning areas, starting with problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL, you are going to be working on projects that you will also put in your portfolio for you to show evidence of your learning. So the class holds every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, which is suitable for people in Europe, UK, and of course, Africa. Then evening class holds by 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. And it's also very okay for people in Canada and US because it should be around 10 a.m. Mountain time. Then on Sundays, you get what we call the Watch Me Do It video. So Saturday live class, you're going to have someone, an expert in the industry, speaking to you and teaching you all these areas, starting with problem solving. Then on Sundays, you're going to get a short bite video in all this. So it's a live interaction and it's also a recorded video approach. So, and people always ask, but I'm confused. How can I transition and learn this couple of things within 4 months? Now, we have a 6-step approach that we normally take to help you get into this industry. First is for you to identify your desired career path. And because we have a couple of, tech stacks that we teach, that's where identifying your career stack comes in. But by virtue of you being on this call, I assume that you've already, taken the notion that you want to be in HR analytics, which has to do with people analytics. Next thing is for you to educate yourself. How do you learn the skill? You have to register with us and be able to start learning all those skills and develop your capacity. Then number 3 is gain project-based experience. Just stay with, going to show us a portfolio of some of the things that our students worked on. Where project-based experience is very, very important is, for instance, when I was in the banking industry, all the data that I got to analyze then, they were all financial data, all right? Which means I'm just streamlined to financial data. But if you play using project-based approach, you have the opportunity to work on data sets that is coming from the energy sector, you have data sets coming from a financial sector, you have the one coming from health sector, and several sectors of the economy. And this makes you more rounded than someone that might even just be in one streamlined approach. Okay. And this project, because we play also in the consulting space, they are all real life case studies. So what we do is when we get these contractual jobs, we codify it and also give to our students to work on. So we call them also consultants because indirectly we are consulting for people and working on that project. Okay. And next one is getting employability skills, networking, and of course, mentorship. Now, one key thing that I always tell people that come under our tutelage is that employability skill is very, very key, right? And for most people that I've seen in the tech ecosystem, we are all smart. Every single one of us are smart. They will have the skill, great people. But when it comes to that employability, speaking, if you have a team of maybe 20 data guys and you ask them to come up and speak, you'd see that not most of them can actually speak and communicate effectively. And that is where it's important that you gain all those skills, because that's what's also necessary for you to land a role. Okay. And next is networking. So communities like this, if you joined earlier, you see when we are doing introduction, people from UK, US, Canada, Nigeria, Ghana, and so on and so forth. And when people land roles, they also get to refer people that are also in the same cohort with them. And of course, mentorship is very, very key. Personally, I struggle to break into the tech industry because if anything comes out, I'll jump and learn. If anything comes, I'll jump and learn. That wasn't really a mentor that will held me into knowing that, okay, this is what you need to know. This is what you don't need to know. Just approach it from this exact angle and you are going to get into all these places. And that is what we're also going to provide for you. So we bring in mentors to speak to you, people like Rich, people like Baldwin, people like Bumi, to talk to you on all these necessary things. And you also have like a direct relationship with them. So I'm going to just show us one thing. For instance, you're a HR person, and this is a data set that you've been presented with. You may not necessarily, it will be hard for you to interpret this data for the senior stakeholders, which means everything that we'll be saying all this while is how do you bring out, insights from this data set and present it in a way that is going to look like this. Okay, how do you build it and make it presentable so they can communicate what you've seen? So these are things that you are going to be working on, of course, with the HR knowledge that you would also get. So it means that instead of making a decision just from an opinion, we are not making a decision from data sets. So you can see the recruitment tracking dashboard, you can see the employee distribution dashboard, You can see human resource absenteeism analysis, and of course, other analytics on my screen. And these are where people get to make informed decisions from. So let me click on this portfolio and show us a couple of things that this individual has been able to work on. I can't remember the name of this person. Okay, there is a challenge. Okay, I think I've opened it before now. All right, so this is also what's going to show you as the evidence of what you have. For instance, if you want to hire someone like BU right now that has a portfolio showing, okay, these are things I've worked on relating to people analytics. You can see project 1, this is what I worked on. Project 2, this is what I worked on. Project 3, this is what I worked on. General overview, since I was able to analyze the insight I was also able to uncover. You can see that clearly, even if BU do not have a HR background, by virtue of working on all these projects, she has been able to get all those necessary experience and show herself as an approved individual for all these roles. You can see the data source where she got it from, the tools that she made use of, the data cleaning process, and the dashboard also. Okay, and you can see the result and finding that she was also able to bring out. Then you can also see her project 2. This is what she also worked on. This is data set, tools that she used. She used Power BI and SQL, which means as a people analyst, first she had to go into the company's database, brought out the data, and then analyzed it using Power BI. So you can see the collaboration of the tools that she is also using. And the last, you see the project 3 that she also worked on. You can see that it's for a manufacturing company. So as a people analyst, she's been able to touch base with the manufacturing industry, the tech industry, and also the health sector. So 3 different sectors of the economy, she's been able to scratch them by just working on project-based approach. And that is what we always tell people. Project-based approach tends to also give you, more opportunity to work on other things. Okay, I think Baldwin is about to drop off. Okay, thank you so much, Baldwin. Thank you so much, Rich. I mean, you are at liberty to drop off right now so that I can, drive it from here. Okay. So like I was mentioning, the projects that you build from all these places, the project that you're able to put in your portfolio are things that are going to show you as an approved individual for those roles that you are going for. Next is people always think that this is impossible, right? So we have people like Victor. Victor joined one of our cohorts for these data HR analytics classes, and he was able to get a job in US working remotely from Nigeria after training with us, right? He got a role with Hugo in Chicago as their people operations analyst. And these are things that people that have been able to walk through our cohorts and classes, what they've been able to also leverage. You can also see other people. Abigail moved from being a care worker in Canada to working with Government of Alberta as a business analyst. Same thing with Toyin. Toyin moved from being being a pharmacist into becoming a benefit analyst in UK. And of course, anointing Stephen, Ikmat, and Abdrashi, they also have amazing stories to tell. I always like Ikmat's story because she always refers herself as stay-at-home mom, that she moved from being a 2-year stay-at-home mom to getting a full sponsored visa in UK through an analytics program. Okay, so make sure you fill the attendance form so that you can be able to have access to their videos, and then on your own you can also watch it and be able to hear what they had to say. Maybe before this call is over, I might play one of their videos, but please ensure you fill the form so that I can get the slide and also the recording of the session and hear from their mouths directly. So all these things, the way it works is just simple. Just like the way we have you on this call, we have someone like Glory. She joined, oh, my name is Glory and I'm a teacher. And next thing is she chose that she wants to move into HR analytics, which is identifying her own career path. Next is to register and learn. Next step is to gain those project-based experience and then walk her through the employability skills that she also needed, then the networking aspect, mentorship aspect, and then the last, after 4 months, this is Glory again. Say, hi guys, I'm Glory and I'm a HR analyst. So it's just that easy. And the great thing about HR analytics is that it doesn't limit you. Okay, so if you have all this skill in Excel, if you have all the skill in Power BI, if you have all those skill in SQL, it means that you have a direct link to data analytics. All right. Even though you're playing the HR space, we can still comfortably, work as a data analyst, which means you are no more looking for roles that is just HR based after training. You are looking for roles in HR industry and also looking for roles as a data analyst, because you can comfortably work as a data analyst. You can work as a people analyst, you can work as a workforce planning analyst, talent analytics expert, compensation analyst, benefits analyst, talent analyst, diversity or inclusion analyst. So all these things exist for you. So what it does is that it also, opens your path wider, that you get to apply to multiple roles and no more streamlined to just one exact career, right? Like I also mentioned, there are two things that will definitely land you a role, which we consider the job offer formula, and that is technical skill plus employability skill. So first thing we're going to walk you through is those technical skill approach, where we teach you problem solving, teach you Excel, teach you Power BI, teach you Excel, teach you the HR metrics aspect, the dashboarding, the performance evaluation, the how to perform, stay interview, your surveys that you're going to share with your company. And next is the employability skill. And these are things that will land you that exact job offer. And when we talk about employability skill, it has 3 steps approach. Number 1 is your CV review sessions. So we'll walk you through how to structure a CV that is going to pass through the ATS. All right. So mistake that people make is that the same CV they're using to apply to be a HR people's analyst, that same CV you want to use to apply to be a data analyst. No. So there is need for you to always match your CV to that exact job that you're going for, which means one CV will not cut it out for you. There will be continuous need for you to always, tailor your CV down to the job that you are trying to apply to. Then LinkedIn optimization sessions, how do you position yourself that people will now be the one reaching out to you on LinkedIn? I mean, if you are here and nobody has ever reached out to you on LinkedIn and said, oh, hi, Chukwemeka, are you interested in this role? It means that something is wrong with your profile on LinkedIn. Because the truth is, LinkedIn is also a recruitment platform that recruiters are constantly always going to headhunt for individuals. Then next is Upwork optimization sessions. If you want to play in the contractual space, you want to be in Nigeria or Ghana or UK and working for a company in US, or you want to be in Canada or US and working for a company in UK, can always get all those contractual opportunities on Upwork. And we walk our students through how they can also leverage that exact platform. Then, how do you navigate the job market? Most people always think that the job market is just LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Indeed. No, there are a lot of recruitment job boards out there. You have your Indeed, you have your remote.co.uk, where you can even see sponsored jobs and so much more. So what we do is that we also bring in experts into the classroom to walk you through how you can navigate the job market. And we have the job and interview prep sessions, where when you land a role, you have the opportunity to book, when you land a job interview rather, you book an interview prep session with us, where our experts also prepare you for your interview using how do you answer situation-based questions using your STAR approach, which is situation, task, action, and your results. Okay, or how do you answer the question of tell me about yourself using the skill, using the SEAT approach, SEAT. Okay, that's skill, experience, achievement, and of course, type of person. So how do you use all these approaches to answer all those behavioral questions that comes up during your interview? We also have sessions for this. And of course, because we are working on real life projects, you also have the opportunity to also request for recommendation and reference letters from us, which means when you're trying to land another role, we are available to provide all these letters for you. Then, of course, the weekly mentorship session that we have, where we also bring in experts, talk to you about the latest trend in the industry and how you can navigate them. And then number 8 is on the job support, that when you land a role, we are still available for you 1 month to make sure that you find your fitting on that job, helping you on your day-to-day activities. That brings me to level 3, which is our guarantee for you that after you've been through the technical skills and employability skills approach, you have at least 1 job interview guaranteed, right? 1 job interview guaranteed. So we guarantee you 1 interview invite if you walk through all these processes with us. And then We also have the tailored approach where we help our top applicants, because we also share jobs available to our students, and people that apply to that job, there's a place we call our job application tracker that you're expected to upload that you've applied to a job. If we've seen that, okay, someone like Chukwemeka applied to 20 jobs last week, and then after 2 weeks, he's not been called for any interview, it means that something is wrong. So we're going to have a tailored approach with you and work with you directly until you are able to structure your CV, restructure your LinkedIn, and be able to get all those interview invitations. So your learning platform is going to be our analytics learning management system. We are going to be enrolled on that exact platform, and you will have access to all the materials forever. Okay. So, like I mentioned, it's a live class. And after each class, the recording of that class will be uploaded here, which means even if you missed any session, if you missed any class, you have access to the recorded aspect of the video. So it's a direct approach. You have those recorded, uploaded. I also have your live session. Then on Sundays, remember I mentioned you get short bite recorded videos from us, introducing you into deeper concepts in that exact HR analytics track that you are going for. So even if you had maybe a family engagement or extra shifts or work engagement that made you to miss a class, you do not miss anything. You have the recorded aspect uploaded for you. You go through it, and then during the weekly, that's what we call weekly review meeting, okay? Drop-in sessions where you have the opportunity to ask questions about that last class. You're going to, okay, you are trying to perform the dashboard that we did in the last class, but you're not able to go through it. This is my challenge. And your facilitator will walk you through how you can go about it. So there are still other small success stories that people have been telling to us. So Buki landed a role with one of the largest retail firms in the world. We also have Shehu that got 2 offers as a data analytics specialist with a consulting firm as a reporting analyst. All right. And the beauty of these things is that when people like Shehu get this role, I have someone that he got an offer. That should be anointing Stephen. He got an offer, and then after a while, he was still getting other interview invitations. So what he did is that he kept asking the recruiters, do you mind if I refer my colleagues that have experience like myself for you? And what he was now doing is he was referring the people that he trained with. And that is the beauty of communities like this and what it tends to offer you. So you can also see sessions of where we've brought in people that have, gotten jobs through our sessions, through our classes. We bring them back to master classes to talk to people on how I secured a job after training. And you can also see all these things in the slides. So please ensure you fill the form so that after the class, you can also click on them to watch them personally. Okay, so moving on, you can see that our next cohort is starting in 2 weeks' time. That is 5th October 2024. And I always tell people, the best time to break into jobs is towards the ending of the year. Because towards November, December, companies are having their strategy meetings, their retreats, and they're planning for 2025. And what happens? They're going to do their people analysis and say, okay, we are projecting that we need, 5 more, maybe business analysts, or we need 2 data analysts, or we need 3 salespeople, and so on and so forth. So the best time to position yourself to land all those roles is towards October, November, December, so that by next year, you are instantly kicking off on your exact role. So what are you still waiting for? Like I mentioned, our next cohort starts 5th October, and you can be part of the people that will enjoy the discounts that we are offering. So the course goes for $750, £625, €730, or 1,125 Canadian dollar. But we have a discount for the first 20 people to join the cohort. All right, first 20 people to join the cohort, and once it's filled up, the price reverts back to the full amount. And right now, I can tell you that the spots are already being taken. So the discounted pricing is $600. So instead of you to pay $750, you now get to pay $600. Instead of you to pay £625, you now pay £500. Instead of you to pay €730, you pay €580. And instead of you to pay 1,125 CAD, you get to pay 900 Canadian dollars. And we also know that people want to structure their payments, so you can secure a spot using the first payment option. And then 1 month into that exact class, you can also make a second payment, which means you can secure a spot with $400, And then 1 month into the program, you're making your second payment of $200. Same thing applicable to the other currencies. How do you secure your spot? So what you simply have to do is to click on this link that my colleague drops in the chat box. So once you've clicked on the link, it's going to take you to the Analytics Enrollment Center. All right? Analytics Enrollment Center. And what you simply have to do is just scroll down and look for the place to pay with main stack, right? So pay with main stack allows you to make payments in any currency. Okay, so you're going to come here, you're going to see all the programs that we offer, and then the price is the same. So what you do now is simply go to pay with main stack. Once you click on it, it's going to pick your geolocation and give you the pricing in the currency of the place that you are presently in. So if you're in Canada, it's going to give you the pricing in CAD. If you're in US, it's going to give you the pricing in US dollars. If you're in Nigeria, it's going to give you the pricing in Naira. Of course, I'm in Nigeria at the moment. So if I click on HR Analytics track, which is this one, you're going to see that it's going to bring out the checkout page for me. So you're seeing that the price at the moment is 1.1. The way main stack have set that, what you have to do is simply click on proceed to pay. But if you want to also leverage the instrumental payments option, and simply pay, click the first option and click proceed to pay. And then what you have to now do is put in your details. And of course, that is just that. So once you put in your details, let me select my phone number. So you select the country flag, which should be, let me use Nigeria. So let me put, all right. So once you put it, you now complete the phone number, link the random number, and then click pay for products. So once you are done with that, it's going to now bring out the checkout page for you to check out your payment. So what you simply have to do now is just put in your card number, put in the expiry date, put in your CVV, and click pay. Or you can decide to click on transfer, and it's going to bring out the account number. You can copy this account number and go to your bank account and make payments. That is just that. After that, come back to that initial page and click on upload your receipt here. Okay, click on upload your receipt here and follow the prompts like that. Okay, I hope that makes sense to everyone. But if this doesn't work for you and want to have maybe different payments pattern or stuff like that, you are at liberty to send an email to us also, finance@analytics.org, and we're going to hear you out and understand how we can also help you to break into the tech ecosystem. Okay, so at this juncture, I think I'm going to be taking questions. So if you have any questions, please can use the raise hand icon and I'll call you up to speak. Or you can drop your question in the chat box and I'm also going to pick it up from there. So any question from anyone from, we have Anna, we have Annie, we have Fola, we have Henrietta, Idowu, John Bosco, Josephine, Mary, Muslima, and we have, how do I pronounce this? Nicole. And we also have Opianuju, Belumi, Honor, Peace, Suleiman, Theodore, Wells, and Yeti, and of course, Yosola. So please, if you have any question, please feel free to use the raise hand icon. And I'm going to call you up to speak, or you can drop it in the chat box. And I'm also going to pick it from there and make sure that that question is answered. Okay, while we're waiting for that, I'm also going to, and I promise to play one video. So let me see if I can play this one while I'm waiting for you to type your messages for me. I think there is...
and we're back in third quarter planning. Adams is quarterbacking this project, and she is looking pretty...
Hi everyone, my name is Ikmat, and I was with the March cohort in Analytics, and joining Analytics has been the best decision so far. For me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child for 4 years, and then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Analytics came along, and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short. That Efe is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. In analytics, they will hold your hands like a child, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. You have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it is the best decision ever, because it was like he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked. And I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he mentioned, it was just, they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a maths test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely, you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student, and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up, because you always have analytics to go back to. They are the best and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable one I've come across so far, and that's a very good advantage. So yes, analytics for the win.
Okay, so I hope we heard what Ikmat had to say. But how she was able to move from being a full-time stay-at-home mom to landing 2 roles in UK, and she was now able to select the one that offers her the highest reward. So I think a hand is up. So I'm going to take that hand, and then I will look at the chat box for the questions. Okay, was it dropped again? I saw a hand. I think it should be John Bosco. Hi, John Bosco, you raised your hand earlier. I've asked you to unmute. Please go ahead. Hi, John Bosco. I've asked you to unmute. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening, John Bosco.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the session.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm not a HR analyst yet, not just yet. But then I promised that I'll always come on your calls just to say hi. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, so this is me saying hi. Good evening. Thank you very much.
All right. Good evening, John Bosco. All right. Thank you. So I remember now. I remember a night we had a long discussion around this entire, tech ecosystem. It's good to have you on the call, John Bosco. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. I don't know if anyone has a question. Please, you can use the raise hand icon, and we call you up to speak, or you can drop in the chat box, and we are going to take it from there. But in the absence of any question, we'll start rounding up. But please ensure that you filled the attendance form so they can, have access to the materials, can go over it over your own time, and be able to make the decisions that you need. Or you can call the numbers on my screen. You can see the Canadian lines, you can see the Nigerian line, you can also see the WhatsApp line. Please feel free to call or WhatsApp any of those numbers. Or you can message us across our socials on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, or on Facebook, and we're also available in all those platforms. So thank you to everyone, and an amazing thank you to the special guests that were brought in today, Richmond, Baldwin, and of course, Bumi. They had wealth of experience to share for each and every one that joined this call. If you missed out on that exact part, please fill the attendance form, and the recorded version will be shared with you, and also the slide that we used for this session. So we'll start rounding up. But before we do, let me just walk us through some of the other success stories that we have. These are things that you get to see in the slide and be able to, upskill yourself. For instance, someone like Ini Akpabio, Ini had wealth of experience in the tech industry. So when he came, he wrote this after he got his own role. He applied for a managerial role and he landed the CEO role of that company. Right? Same like myself. I mean, the truth is that I used to be the CEO of Analytics, and I was asked to run the entire business. And these are things that you get from having experience working on projects and building your portfolio. Okay, so what he had to say is that for him, basically, he already has some of the experience, but what he needed was the employability to be brushed with his CV, with his own approach, with how he can speak. Because we also have interview simulation processes where we'll call you up and we are going to be interviewing you on that exact training that you are having. So what he said is that though he had been in the IT industry for more than a decade and have done so many projects and training that should have moved him above where he was before then, he didn't know how to structure and optimize his CV for better opportunities. Even with family and friends around him, he still could not show his work, and so they could not really help him. So Nidai said that analytics are wonders workers. Though the goal was not to become a CEO, I landed it after the employing team saw my CV and interviewed. Same stuff I've been doing all the while without results. Now the results came just like that. I couldn't have done it without analytics. So this is what he has to say in the group that he is in with his own cohort. So these are some of the success stories that you can also be part of. You can also go through the slide and see other people that have walked this exact journey. What do we all have in common? They had the grit to learn. Okay, people move from different skill sets into this exact area. And if they can do it, you also can do it. So thank you to everyone for listening to us from 8 p.m. West African time till this very moment, 10:10 West African time. I can't wait to see each and every one of you come 10th October in our classes. Okay, so feel free to message us with anything you want. Feel free to also message our inquiry lines and we are going to answer your question. So this is where I draw the curtain for now until next time. Remember, the best time to get into the tech ecosystem is yesterday. The next best time is today. Thank you so much once more, and cheers and bye for now.